Gopi Jana Baba Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Jai Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Hare Jai Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Baladev Mai Subhadra Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Srinathaji Jaya Balagopal Jaya Srinathaji Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Srinathaji Jaya Balagopal Jaya Srinathaji Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Satoshi Shrimad's Divine Grace, founder of Iskana by Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Granthara Shrimadbhagavatam Ki, their most merciful Lordship Shri Shri Bihari Ki, Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Mai Subhadra Ki, Shri Nathaji Shri Balagopal Ki, Shri Gauranitai Ki, Nitai Go Prem. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord and Spirit Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraya
Tato Jayamudiraye
Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu
Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki.
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki.
Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 15. 14? Yeah, 14. Parishrantendriyatmaham.
Parisrantrendriyatmaham.
That was one word, was it? Trit parito.
Trit parito.
Bubuksita.
Bubuchitaha.
Trit parito bubuksita.
Trit parito bubuchitaha.
Snatva.
Snatva.
Pitva.
Pitva.
Rade.
Rade.
Nadya.
Nadya.
Snatva pitva rade nadya.
Snatva pitva rade nadya.
Upas pristo.
Upasprishto.
Gata.
Kata.
Shrama.
Shamaha.
Upas pristo gata shrama.
Upasprishto gata shamaha.
Parishrantendriyatmaham.
Parisrantendriyatmaham.
Tritparito bubuksita.
Tritparito bubuchitaha.
Snatva pitva hrade nadya.
Snatva pitva rade nadya.
Upas pristo gata shrama.
Upasprishto gata shamaha.
Paristendriyatmaham.
Parisrantendriyatmaham.
Tritparito bubuksita.
Tritparito bubuchitaha.
Snatva pitva rade nadya.
Snatva pitva rade nadya.
Upas pristo gata shrama.
Upasprishto gata shamaha.
Parishrantendriyatmaham.
Parisrantendriyatmaham.
Tatparito bubuksita.
Tritparito bubuchitaha.
Snatva pitva hrade nadya.
Snatva pitva rade nadya.
Upas pristo gata shrama.
Upasprishto gata shamaha. Parisrantendriyatmaham.
Paristrendriyatmaham.
Tritparito bubuchitaha.
Tritparito bubuksita.
Snatva pitva rade nadya.
Snatva pitva hrade nadya.
Upasprishto gata shamaha.
Upas pristo gata shrama. Paristendriyatmaham. Tratparito bubuksita. Snatva pitva hrade nadya. Upas pristo gata shrama. Parishranta.
Parishranta.
Being tired.
Being tired.
Indriya.
Indriya.
Bodily.
Bodily.
Atma.
Atma.
Mentally.
Mentally.
Aham.
Aham.
I.
I.
Tritparitaha.
Tritparitaha.
Being thirsty.
Being thirsty.
Babuksitaha.
Bubuchitaha.
And hungry.
And hungry.
Snatva.
Snatva.
Taking a bath.
Taking a bath.
Pitva.
Pitva.
And drinking water also.
And drinking water also.
Rade.
Rade.
In the lake.
In the lake.
Nadya.
Nadya.
Of a river.
Of a river.
Upasprishta.
Upasprishta.
Being in contact with.
Being in contact with.
Gata.
Gata.
Got relief from.
Got relief from.
Shrama.
Shamaha.
Tiredness.
Tiredness.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhaya Charananda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took a bath in a river lake and also drank water. By contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. Please repeat. Thus traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally,
both bodily and mentally,
and I was both thirsty and hungry.
and I was both thirsty and hungry.
So I took a bath in a river lake
So I took a bath in a river lake
and also drank water.
and also drank water.
By contacting water,
By contacting water,
I got relief from my exhaustion.
I got relief from my exhaustion.
Purport. By His divine grace, Abhayacharanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A traveling mendicant can meet the needs of the body, namely thirst and hunger, by the gifts of nature, without being a beggar at the doors of the householders. The mendicant, therefore, does not go to the house of a householder to beg, but to enlighten him spiritually. Om Jnana Dharmarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshusumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The householder who entertains, as advised by the scriptures, advanced souls, then they get the reward of the soul that the advanced soul has gotten, because he gives them what relationship he has with Krishna. Then now he gives to that householder by visiting them, and he brings Super Soul with him, and the relationship he has developed with Super Soul, then that enlightens the whole household and gives them the experience they are longing for. Some would think, well, they're doing the beggar, quote unquote, the beggar, a favor by allowing him to come and have some food because he's hungry. But the problem is not a beggar in that he has more to give than anyone has the ability to offer in return, in exchange for. That's what the Brahman brings, knowledge of Super Soul. That's the gift of life that Krishna gives to those who want him. Then he gives himself to us. Knowledge that he is with us at every moment, at all times. And with carrying that with us then, leaving this body, as I was explaining yesterday, should be something we're looking forward to. And that when I saw you chanting this morning, looking at the picture, I thought, wow, that's the best way for a soul to be looking forward to. Being approached by Krishna on Garuda. This is like, I think it's about maybe 9th canto, maybe 11th or 12th. But that's what the soul is promised in Bhagavatam, to have the experience of, the very picture you were looking at. You carry out the same services you're doing here till the end. And when you leave your body, then Lord Vishnu is going to come on Garuda, take you back to the spiritual world, Krishna. So, why would we not be happy about that? Yet, everybody is sad to die, not wanting to leave. This is the fear of dying, is the fear that sin is going to have to be dealt with. And for people who live constantly in fear, it's a healthy fear. There's a reason to be afraid if we're living constantly in sinful activity. But if we're living constantly studying Bhagavatam, reading spiritual scriptures, filling our hearts and minds with thoughts and desires of how to promote this teaching, then there is no reason for us to fear, but that the next environmental situation that will be created automatically by our engaging in this spiritual energy that's available on this planet now will be much greater the next situation. See, also, living in the temple is not the best use of one's energy. serving to promote Krishna consciousness. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm doing that with my own life, but how can I speak against that? But distributing books is the most pleasing activity of the soul in Krishna consciousness movement, can engage in by the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Because it's so necessary and it's the most direct means of being able to liberate other souls. Liberation is what the Brahman brings to the soul who has them for dinner. So, what price could be put upon that, to be able to be happily looking forward to the end of this life? What would somebody give or pay for that kind of treasure? Yet that's what we have in Krishna consciousness, in effect, because every day our longing to see Krishna while we're chanting, our longing to be in the temple and have association with devotees and read Bhagavatam, that longing continues when we leave these bodies. That same longing is going to bring us the same way it's bringing us here now. It's going to bring us there then, and much more glorious than what we can know here in these physical bodies. So that body that we're looking at in Krishna, I was saying yesterday, about 189 trillion years old. People think of age as a deteriorating force. But if we give credence to the value of Krishna consciousness to bring us closer and closer and closer to the purifying, fulfilling, satisfying, completing the blossoming of love of God, then it should be looked at as every day progressing, getting better. Right? As we get older, then we should be getting better. But the way in this material world that things are made is that things do have that aspect of deterioration. When I came to study, just in practical science, what is taught in science, I did start taking an interest in the physical body after a while, because I had so misused my physical body, I guess. What happens when you find God, by realizing all the mistakes you made in your life, you want to kind of undo them, right? and that's what also inviting an elevated soul does, because that elevated soul reveals to us what kind of things they think about rather than themselves. And so, but in my study, I come to realize that the cells, in every single cell inside the body, is said to have contain this, what they call DNA, which is individual to itself, and no other holds that particular type of DNA, 1 out of 1 billion or something. So, the suggestion, nevertheless, is also there in the reproductive ability of the cell. And Krishna says the cell, the soul, is pervading, the term he uses, the entire body. And then it is said that he is dwelling in every atom, and is only by him that anything has any ability to show form in this material world, because everything's made of that which it can't be seen by the eye. So in effect, we have vision. The sun is said to be the eye, one of the eyes, of the universal form of Krishna. Now, why that would make sense is because what we use the eye for is to take light in. And what that light and what that eye is doing in the universe is giving every soul in the universe the ability to see and take light in. Amazing. When you think about it, actually. And that's just the sun. And Krishna says that's just a spark of his splendor. So, Krishna is revealing to us his own abilities that we experience the benefits of without his even having to take thought about it. Does Krishna have to take a big thought now about keeping the sun lit? Might run out of fuel. He's got to fuel up the fire now. It just burns. Just gives everybody light to see with. Without Krishna didn't do much at all about it, just there doing it. So this is the presence of a devotee. This is how 1/64th of a second, as Mataji was saying, 1/11th of a second, it might be 1/11th of a second, but that's how, because the power of Krishna's presence is so extremely powerful. We were saying the other day, if he, by the movement of his bodily gestures, can in fact upset billions of universes. They're just covering his creative body from which universes are emanating. Just imagine what his power is that he's not revealing to us. How powerful he is. So how small then our problems can be. If we can see Krishna, how big he is, we can see our little tiny minuscule things that were problems we think we have as the nothing that they are. But the soul that comes into this material world forces itself into suffering, because it is in this material realm that suffering exists. Outside of it, there's no suffering. In Vaikuntha, there's no suffering, no pain, no anxiety, no grief-stricken minds. But too then, is it preaching going on? It's just association. See, until people can even be brought to the state of association, they have to be pulled out of the ignorance of blasphemous hatred of devotees and God. That's the state of an atheist. Atheists give God the credit of being the cause of every war, thereby the cause of every death that has been suffered by everyone. They blame God for that. Then, when you look at what performances some people are engaging in, for example, in Judaism, they are having the philosophy passed down to them by Moses that every sin requires the death of a living being. For animals, taking the place of that which is required of a human being, now to be taking the place of that which a human otherwise would have to sacrifice. And so this form of animal sacrifice, as far as I know, is still being carried on today. Even though amongst them rose those. Moses gave this form of sacrifice because people rejected the diet that was being given to them by Krishna. And this that was called manna, it grows in the desert, in the sand, just comes up. So there is great credit given by Krishna to souls who don't go searching for themselves, much like this is revealing. The Brahmin doesn't go to the house because he's hungry. He goes to the house because he has something to give to people. So similarly, even a Brahmin is stuck in the wilds, like Narada Muni is explaining he was. Krishna provides, and he will take care, we can know, by all of these examples. And we don't have to look for our act of taking another life to continue our life. There are souls given the ability to produce by its own body that substance we need, and that substance that also can enable it to gain tremendous spiritual benefit by even being able to take a human birth. Can you imagine going from a green pepper to a human in a very short period of time? When the green pepper is offered on Krishna's altar, it speeds up that evolutionary process the soul is in to gain access to love of God, to gain access to personal darshan of God, of Krishna, who we call Krishna. So one day, imagine, at the end of 40, 50, 60 years of service, offering green peppers and chilies and ginger, all these forms of nutrients that went directly on Krishna's plate that are being given actually by the soul whose plant that was. The green pepper is a soul. A soul is inhabiting the body of that plant the same way we are inhabiting the body of this human form. And so Krishna, seeing all souls equally, that is being offered by the Brahman, just like the fly landing on Nityananda gets the benefit of the pujari, the green pepper gets the benefit of the pujari who's preparing also. So how many green pepper friends are going to have in Krishna Loka when you get to Krishna Loka? How many disciples, by not even having taken thought of it, not even engaging in the formality of, just simply by engaging in Krishna's service, we automatically put ourselves in a place to be able to have, to give others the greatest gift there is for human beings, to be able to know and experience it and have without the ability to lose it. Isn't that something? In the material world, well, you have the ability by choice not taken away, but only by choice. You don't lose Krishna consciousness by something other than your own will, your own act of doing that. And if it was something that offended Krishna, then that could be a cause of losing Krishna consciousness. But every gift in the world that can be given, even a book, although you can store the book in your heart. So in some cases, even books can't be taken away because that's also truth. That is of the books that are written of the truth. So here's another example of a tree being born in this material world to have to die. Its body goes back into the earth. The soul, what happens to the soul of the tree? That soul of the tree can sit there for 100 years, 1,000 years. What happens to the soul of the tree? Gets gobbled up by something? How does it get out of there? How does it get into a form now? And how did it get into that form as well as revealed? Souls that want to be naked in front of everyone. then they have to endure the storms. So then they don't even have a way of communicating, but they do have strong consciousness. And if you sit, I saw an Indian boy, he sat with a tree for 3 days. He developed a relationship with a tree. And see, there is in that understanding the realization that every soul has consciousness developed to the extent that it is revealing in the form that it is in at that particular point. But every single one of them can be performing a function of service to Krishna. The cockroach eats the crumbs off the floor that otherwise have to be swept up by the Brahman. Does a cockroach get benefit for that? He's eating prasadam every day in here. There might be some cockroaches go back to Godhead much more rapidly than they would. So we have so much to be thankful for as well. See, they're calling this Memorial Day as a day to, as a day to celebrate and honor. Celebrate the day that we have the freedom to practice all the freedoms that we are given by this government because of the fact that people have sacrificed their lives for us to be protected from dictators that would not want their subjects to be allowed to engage in the practices that we want the freedoms to be able to engage in, like religion, like chanting Hare Krishna. So we can look at it from that Krishna conscious perspective that we can be thankful, but that doesn't limit it to this day. There are wars going on right now that people are fighting for the right and privilege to be able to, for others to be able to practice their religious beliefs. The problem is both sides think they're doing that. And so Srila Prabhupada explains in this age that there's not a fight worth fighting in this age. The fight and the battle and the instruments, the military weapons to fight with is this mantra that is suprememost above all other sound vibrations given for this age. It's this chanting of Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And when we're chanting it, we can be realizing that we're being given the ability to produce a sound more potent than any other sound that can be made by the human voice. All the mantras of times past used in military weaponry for the sake of winning battles, this mantra able to deliver the soul from the eternal engagement of the material energy is even more powerful than all those other mantras ever given. Just imagine that. This is how precious we are to Krishna if you think about it. He doesn't just give anything to anybody. He gives it to who he chooses to give it to. And so it is a great privilege that we have to be able to take part in this chanting of Hare Krishna and have full knowledge to the extent that we are surrendering. That's the extent we are receiving the knowledge of Krishna. And we have only ourselves to blame if we don't, after this life, if we don't make it back to Vaikuntha, it can't be said by anyone that we weren't given the means. We have all the means necessary, all the facility necessary, all the tools necessary to develop your love for God. So, Now all we have to do to experience that is to continue on the present. Every day chanting, singing, dancing, reading, studying, sharing, taking prasadam only, hearing Krishna Katha, giving Krishna to everyone we meet to the best extent we can. That way we will get Krishna to the greatest extent possible. So, Krishna is so merciful. I wish I knew what time it was. I don't know if I should end class now or continue talking for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Mother Dakshin, do you know what time it is?
35.
Oh. 8:35 only. Okay, so, yeah, 25 minutes. 20 minutes, yeah, 25 minutes.
Yeah, we can end also.
Yeah, somebody has to do the transferring. Okay. Do you have any comments, any questions? No. When you were looking at that picture, what does that picture remind you of?
I didn't really think too much. I thought it's like super soul coming.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Have you ever read that in Bhagavatam?
No.
Super Soul gives knowledge. See, this is an example. Super Soul gives knowledge. You hadn't read that. And yet, there was another picture of Garuda seen at a distance. And the first time I saw this, I thought Garuda was a Jiva soul. And thinking in that way, I was thinking, well, God, if that's a form you want to put me in, I don't care. I'll eat snakes if you want me to. But no, Garuda is not Jiva. Garuda is also an expansion of Krishna's own energy, his own self. But see, every one of these windows to Vaikuntha will give the mind, quicken the mind into Leela. It's Leela you're having while you're having realization of what this is. The soul that you are is being reminded of its previous experiences. Yeah. And so it's wonderful. I'm praying and hoping that they're doing this so we can once again, if we don't use the rooms, at least we can, the hallways are better than the rooms because they get pictures of Krishna. Of course, the rooms have pictures of Krishna too. But what a wonderful way to give guests. We used to give tours up there. And see, like someone like yourself, you don't have to know everything about the history of this building and all the things in that. If you know Krishna and you can explain every one of those pictures, you've given them a tour through beyond the universe. You've given them a tour into the spiritual world. And that's where these pastimes are coming from. And that's where the soul goes when it reads Bhagavatam. It is entering the world of the spiritual realm. And we turn it on and off. But hopefully, when we leave these bodies, it'll be turned on for good. No more turning off the spiritual power of Krishna by our minds. I had so many desires when I came to Krishna consciousness that I didn't think I could do in one lifetime. You know, I wanted to teach school. I wanted to have a radio show. I wanted to travel all over the place. Can't do all these things, you know, in one lifetime. You just concentrate on one thing. Be a school teacher, you're a school teacher for life, right? Be a broadcaster, you're a broadcaster. I did all that stuff. Enough to get enough of a taste to experience how to apply it to Krishna consciousness. And we were traveling all over. And every day was like a new adventure. If you can, Prabhu, I'm trying to encourage you to take up with a group that are going around the world distributing books, because you really see Krishna's hand at work with you and your relationship to people, because your love for others and you're developing the ability to give these books to others is your love for Krishna, actually, because that's the gift you're giving. When you're distributing books, they can't buy what's contained in the books. They don't know that. Some of them realize it more than others, and they will give more than the book. You know more than, they'll give you $100 for a $10 book when they get the realization. And that's what the sincerity of Krishna consciousness causes you to provoke in others. And when you see that happen, wow, say, whoa, they're experiencing Krishna's love through you. And when that happens, you taste it again for the first time. Every time you give it to someone like that and you see them taste it, you taste it. It's like waking up from a bad dream and suddenly realizing there's something greater than you ever before dreamed was possible. That's what this Krishna consciousness is. That's what Krishna is. That's who Krishna is. He's the greatest being there is that we could be able to gain access to. And he's giving it to all of us. Everyone, he wants us to give it to everyone we come in contact with. He's encouraging us to do that. And in answer to that, then he really pours out his mercy. To those devotees out there doing books, they get the big, big mercy. They get firsthand Krishna's energy reaching out through them to the other super soul that's going to give that person. Now, whoever you go to, you're in a majority because it's super soul and you and their super soul against them. If they have an argument against Krishna consciousness, it's 3 against 1. Everyone you come in contact with now, that's how it is. It's 3 against 1. And then with every devotee that gains up, it's 2 more against their everyone, So you're in the majority in Krishna consciousness because there are more souls in the spiritual world than there are in all the billions of universes that there are making up the material realm. There are more living entities in Vaikuntha that never left. And every single planet there is as big as our universes are. You can imagine. Inhabited probably by at least as many souls as there are in each of our universes are hollow. And the planets inside of them are showing more land surface than the people are experiencing on the inside surface. I'm sorry, I'm crying. I can't help the joy I get through being able to share, what experiences I've had in Krishna consciousness, because I didn't think most of this stuff that's going on in my life now, I didn't think this would happen until after I died and went to heaven, Going on the altar with God. Wow. Getting a new name. This is all described in the Bible as what happens after you leave your body. Yeah. A name that God knows you by. And only he and you know what it means to him and what you mean. He means to you. Yeah. So Krishna's been with us through every form of life we've ever chosen to take. And now, coming to this form, we have the ability to perfect life. But I don't know what to look any more towards wanting. I don't have any desire anything else. I don't find any need now to take any other form or anything. I just want to serve Krishna. If he wants me to take a different form, okay. But see, Narad Muni, he doesn't have to take a different form now anymore. He's just staying in this universe to preach. So preaching, this is a very powerful force that you can see that Krishna wants done. If Srila Prabhupada is expressing this so strongly as that which gives him so much pleasure, that you got to know that Krishna is moving him by that, because this is what empowered Srila Prabhupada to be able to establish this movement, was Krishna's desire manifesting through him. Wow. Just saying that Krishna has desire. Wow. Does Krishna have desire? I don't know. Do you think Krishna has desire?
He has a desire for all of us to go back.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a desire for all of us to go back. That's what's being expressed. Wow. You know, from one perspective, you could say, how could God have desire? How could he have something lacking that he thinks he needs? Right? Yet the fact that all living entities are not with him. I mean, what to speak, some of the living entities don't even believe he exists. You know? And yet he takes that as a reason to come to save them. He's come to the material world to save all the miscreants. We're all miscreants. That's what we are. In the material world, we find ourselves in the material world. Well, we're not miscreants as long as we're not in the material consciousness. As long as we remain in Krishna consciousness, we remain free from sin. We remain free from the effects of karma, of our past sins. We remain free from that which we would have otherwise created for the future to be reactions to sin. So this is real freedom. This is what freedom is. And freedom to exercise our ability to give this to others, give this freedom, when we know that it comes by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in that realization that of the relationship that we experience by that chanting, we will carry over into that next stage of development. The soul will have to go through to enter into that eternal realm. See, when Narad Muni is manifesting here at such an age, though, he has had access to that spiritual realm I don't know if it's in that self-same body, but he does come and go. It would seem reasonable to say that it is the same body, but we'll see how he's going to give us further knowledge about things, experiences he has had. These things, even though I've read them, I finished reading Bhagavatam first year I came. That was in 1983. So I only read it once. So the only revisits is what takes place in class and what I hear from other devotees. I'm not really on a course now to reread it. Maybe I should do that. Because Bhagavatam is of such nature, it is giving us histories that civilizations have not been able to store for the future generations coming. And so it is all compacted for us into these stories, enabling us to know how incomplete the mundane histories of the world are, giving us only present day history, you could say. 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 years, these are just like present day histories that people have recollections from their own familial histories, right? Genealogical histories passed down by word of mouth through their families even. But this that reaches into the millions of years ago goes beyond that which we are, as human beings, capable of being able to put into historical record. So this is why we have to, as well, evaluate what contributions Srila Veda Vyas is giving through the spiritual master Srila Prabhupada to the entire planet for its complete development of pure love, which is what it is given for. And revealing all the aspects and the various levels that the soul goes through in order to attain that stage, which we have a perfect example in Narad Muni of having attained that stage of pure love of God. He's untainted, so much so that we follow everything he has said as a means of being able to worship properly. So if anybody knows someone who's been around for 189 trillion years, seems like he would have a considerable amount of wisdom for us to follow and learn by. So, is there anyone in any university that has that long knowledge? They've been around long enough to have that kind of accumulated knowledge. And see, what Krishna is also revealing is Narad Muni hasn't lost his memory of all these previous births, or either had at one point and then regained them by becoming Krishna conscious. But from being the son of Brahma itself, it seems that this kind of advanced soul automatically reveals by his own activities the type of mental capabilities he has by his remembrance of his previous lives. We still got to do the transfer. We're going to let it go at that. Are there any comments, questions, realization? Granth Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.